Thanks so much for staying with us. Agents of Change Big Ideas is a vacation camp being held at the summer studio of the Republic Bank Sports Club in Barataria, and that takes place from August 5th to the 15th this year. The curriculum is designed so that participants can have fun while learning about various skills such as leadership, business, and social entrepreneurship. One of the camp's facilitators, Dennise Demming, is here along with Chevonne Agana. Good morning to you both.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I always thought it was a Republic Bank thing. So now you told me different. So tell me about your camp.
All right, 3 years ago, we started a camp, and that is an organization called 868 Change, which is a non-profit organization. And we started this camp called Agents of Change. And that's because historically, I've been involved in camps. The person who develops the curricula, Demming, he's been involved in camps for many years. And one of our observations is that you have a camp and children go because their parents send them.
Main reason.
Main reason. And it builds on, most camps either build on fun activities, play activities, or they continue the way education is delivered. Memorization, sit and you're told what to do and so on. And we decided, not only we decided, there's a whole movement that says that young people can be exposed to the curricula of an MBA, for instance, systems thinking. So we created this camp based on some work of the Waters Foundation on systems thinking, based on other schools of thought which have to do with problem solving. And what we do on the camp is we have a lot of the young people, not a lot, the entire camp, we have them engage in activities and then do a debrief. So they're learning big philosophies, but they're learning it in a very fun environment without even recognizing that that's what they're doing.
Correct.
So we've done this for the last 3 years, and the camp is developing. It's changing. The curricula keeps changing because we're trying to tailor it to what is our environment.
Got you. So now you're getting away from the craft and the arts and the going to the zoo and all these different things now to facilitate. When you say, what is your age group for the camp?
Well, it's generally 13 to 16. Initially, we started with boys only. For the first time last year, we did a mixed camp, which I would say was more of an experience for us as facilitators than the actual children, because they're accustomed to being boys and girls.
Right.
Exactly. So yeah, generally 13 to 16, boys and girls.
Because normally when you hear camp, you think of 5 years old to about 10 or 11, because what are these parents going to do with these poor little ones while the parents are at work? So now it's a camp for teenagers, which is new. You know, it's in its 3rd year running. So how your success in the past 2 years, how has that been? So of course now you're in your 3rd year, so.
Right. Yes, traditionally camps have been for younger children because the older children usually go to lessons. That's what's camp for them. So I think what we have tried to do is merge the two. And over the last 3 years, we have seen the changes. I think when we started, it was more of, okay, these are our ideas. Let's just share these ideas. What we've seen is that we learn as much when we go along as they do. And I think over the last 3 years, what we've seen is that children are more accepting of this material than we anticipated initially, because we were quite nervous initially about bringing this material. It was something different. It was not, as you said, the traditional fun camp where you do sports or craft or go on field trips. I mean, we do have field trips, but they're usually along the lines of exposing them to something new, something different, something cultural. So I would say that it has changed because we're seeing more and more children becoming interested in it on their own.
I think it's a good thing because, you know, in a classroom, it's so much talk and talk, as you say, learn things by rote, you're preparing to write an exam, and we don't have the time always necessarily based on the syllabus and the subject to involve the kids in these types of, you know, in the aspects. I mean, teachers need a break on the vacation, so we can't do all of those types of things, being a teacher myself. So it's hard. So when you do things like this, it's helpful. Simple things like resumes and dressing for work and different things like that you can't do in a classroom. So you find that the response with the teenagers has it been developing more over the years? Have you gotten more participants?
Participation is always a challenge, simply because people want to either go to a sports camp, a cultural camp, a craft camp, or they want to say, what is my child learning that will help them pass the next exam? And we really push back on that. And we really say to parents that we don't want the child if the child doesn't want to be here. We don't want the youngster if the youngster
Bored.
doesn't want to be here. Because if the youngster doesn't want to be there, then we're going to end up with truancy. You don't want to have truancy in a camp. But the other thing we've tried with this camp, and we've been, I think, fairly successful, is we've presented the curricula to teachers. Right. And people who run homework centers. We've done that on 2 occasions, and that was with funding from BG. And the teachers have been fantastic. They have worked with the material. They now would reach out to us and say, I have a child who I think I'd like to send to that camp.
Correct.
And the 2 occasions on which we've done the teacher trainer, that has proved, I think, quite successful. Some of our data is that we've exposed maybe about 35 young people to the camp so far. And we've also exposed about 32, and I'm saying about, because I can't remember the exact figure. We've done, I think, 32 train-the-trainers, have we?
Yes, about that.
About 32 train-the-trainers, and those are teachers and people who run homework centers.
Right.
And what that is an attempt to do is to introduce the curricula to the teachers as well. So teachers now have tools that they can use in their classroom that is not based on memorization and rote,
Gotcha.
but that really takes a problem-solving approach. You know, because if we understand that life is about problems, and if you don't have an approach, if you don't have a
Well, there's a
toolkit,
book to learn it out of. Yes.
you know, if you don't have a toolkit that you can reach in and say, okay, that's a tool I'm going to use. You know, the carpenter reaches for a hammer. We need to reach for some other problem-solving tools in order to apply them. And if our children are exposed to that early, we'll certainly have a different kind of society. And if our teachers are able to introduce those concepts very early or on an ongoing basis in the education curricula, then I think we'll have a better society.
So what are some of the strategies that you use, or some of the things that you do in your camp to, you know, help promote these things?
Well, one thing we've started recently, which I guess worked in some instances and not so much in others, is journaling. We try to encourage the children to journal in the morning and in the evening in terms of how do you feel this morning, you know, coming in here, how do you feel? And then at the end of the day, how do you feel? It is challenging because it's not something that you find young people are accustomed doing. They reflect on Facebook. That's where they reflect.
Oh,
They
yeah.
hardly
They can
ever,
write there for sure.
They hardly
Yes.
ever write their reflections down. So that's one way. But we also use a lot of activities, which generally are quite fun, but they always have a learning at the end of it. So everything is activity-based. Every single concept or idea that we teach is based on an activity, and we debrief at the end. So I think in that way, they don't actually see it as work because they're doing things that are fun. And we always try to end with a field trip that is somewhat, I guess, cultural. So last year we took the children to the San Antonio Green Market, followed by Legacy House. And it was great, you know, so those are some of the things.
So tell me about your registration and your cost and all these things.
Registration and cost. Registration, villageseedsolutions.com is a website, because we're also attempting to get people to move away from paper-based registration, so we're trying for the online registration. And that is villageseedsolutions.com, and there's a little pop-up window that says register.
Right.
The cost of registration is we have some scholarships available, and that's why we're here today, because we do have some scholarships available. So once you register, we will then respond to you. The trick in the registration is that we want the child
There is a trick.
There is a trick. There is a trick. We want the youngster to register so that they give us a paragraph about why they want to attend. And that is really where it sometimes breaks down, because if a parent is standing over a teenager saying, you are doing this is what you're going to say, it's not going to be, you're not going to get a good response.
Okay.
So, and I think if they go onto their website, they will also see some videos of some of our past camps and the activities. They'll also see, if they're interested, our reports on what happened in the last camp and how this whole thing is being developed. So really, the bottom line on registration is www.villageseedsolutions.com. And if you really don't want to do that, you can call 761-9426. That's 761-9426.
Okay, and it's August the 5th to the 15th. And what are the times?
The times are from 9 to 3:30.
9 to 3:30.
And everything is provided, so you don't have to...
No lunch either?
You get lunch.
Well, that's excellent.
We get lunch, and they eat with a knife and fork.
Oh, that's wonderful. Okay, so parents, you can go on to villageseedsolutions.com, and you get all the information there about the camp. Have your children register for a wonderful camp. It's taking place August the 5th to the 15th. And the best thing is you don't have to pack a lunch kit. So thank you so much for joining us, ladies, and all the best with your camp this year. We do need to take a quick break. News at the top of the hour.